Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for today's presentation, Second Step, the Foundation of Successful Learning. I know that your time is really valuable, so thank you so much for joining me, and I'm excited to have you here. A quick look at our agenda. First, I'm going to do introductions, a little bit of history about Committee for Children and the Second Step program. Then we're going to jump into what is social emotional learning and why teach it, just a little bit of background there. This is a high-level overview of the Second Step program and the offerings we have for early learning through grade 8. So I am going to go into the program and how it works, a little bit about the resources, but I want to invite you, if you're interested in sort of digging in deeper to any of our early learning, K through 5, middle school, or our child protection and bullying prevention, even our mindfulness tools, I want to invite you to take a look at the live webinar schedule that we have and the other webinars that are on our on-demand section, and feel free to join us for one of those more in-depth webinars around those topics. I'm definitely going to have some time for question and answer at the end, so please do submit your questions and we'll make sure there's time. If you have any that happen to pop up along the way, you can put those in the chat box too. So my name is Jennifer Sanderlin. I am with Committee for Children. Our new logo is there and we're so happy to see it. Our new tagline, which is Grow Kinder. Grow Kinder is something we live and breathe every day at Committee for Children, the work that we do and the people that we work with. So we're very excited to be able to present this kind of information to you since you're part of the Grow Kinder team along with us. Who we are. Committee for Children is a nonprofit located in Seattle, Washington. Our mission is to foster the safety and well-being of children through social and emotional learning and development. Our advocacy work, Committee for Children advocates both at the state and federal level for policies and laws that support social emotional learning in schools, help prevent bullying, and protect children. At Committee for Children, we really see ourselves as pioneers, leading the field with our uniquely comprehensive approach. We like to connect the experts who share experiences to work toward continual improvement. We know that we are a force in advocacy since we try to help pass policies and legislation to improve the lives of children. So we are thought leaders and trusted partners who inform and inspire others with our research-based and innovative ideas. Addressing that critical need in schools, our social emotional learning programs are widely adopted, well loved, easy to use, and engaging, and effectiveness. And without you, those of you who are interested in SEL, that are working to implement social emotional learning or even the Second Step program itself, I want to say thank you for that work that you do. Certainly without you, we could not work toward this mission as effectively. So thank you so much for that. As a thought leader and established nonprofit for nearly 40 years, Committee for Children is involved in all kinds of initiatives to improve the lives of children. Our programs blend research and rigor, and they reach more than 14 million children every year in over 70 countries and in all 50 states. So from our headquarters here in Seattle, Washington, we do like to partner with researchers, publishers, and other nonprofits around the world. And we work tirelessly to make sure that all children have a chance to thrive. And every single person here at Committee for Children, we lift up children today so that they're able to create a safe and positive society for the future. So what we do is help create not just better students, better people through the Second Step program, early learning through grade 8 students, helping to give them the tools they need to excel in the classroom and beyond. Second Step offers that combination of our SEL program, our bullying prevention unit, and our child protection unit. So together, these programs help improve behavior, they build a positive school environment, and address safety, all by creating lasting results for children and communities. We also created the Mind Yeti program, Get Your Mind Ready to Be Calm and Get Ready, which has been embraced by teachers, parents, and children around the world. Mind Yeti helps kids and adults to get their mind ready, whether it's time to calm down, to focus, or even to go to sleep. Mind Yeti can help settle the hubbub at school and at home. And I'm not going to talk too much about Mind Yeti, but I will mention it a little bit later. In my agenda today, I am definitely going to be talking a lot more about Second Step program though. So a little bit about our history, so you can get an idea. For those of you who are familiar with Committee for Children, since we began in 1979, nearly 40 years ago, a lot has happened. And a lot of people ask why our program is called Second Step. So in this slide, I kind of want to give you that timeline. So the reason that the program is called Second Step is because as an organization, Committee for Children first began our work in studying the effects of child abuse and child sexual abuse. And we developed the program talking about touching. Some of you may remember it. The black and white cards, as you can see here, way back in the day, in the 1980s, no one was really talking about child abuse and child sexual abuse, certainly not in this really intentional way. So that program was launched to help prevent abuse from happening to kids and to support students that were already experiencing abuse so that they would know how to reach out and report that to a trusted adult. But it was also training for teachers so they would know how to help their students who might be in this situation. Once we launched that program, we wanted to then look at ways that we could prevent children from growing up to be abusers themselves. So our first step was talking about touching in that program, about addressing child abuse and child sexual abuse. And our second step was to look at primary prevention of giving kids the skills that they need to grow up and not abuse others. So things like empathy, emotion management, assertiveness, being able to communicate and manage their strong emotions. So all of those things together really help create and give kids the best chance they can to grow up and be happy and productive and positive people in our world. So after talking about touching and Second Step were created and revised over the years, we also wanted to pinpoint and teach skills that would help kids as they faced a different kind of abuse, and that is bullying, which is how Steps to Respect was created, to help specifically address bullying in schools. So as we created and revised the newest editions of Second Step, as things came out over the years, in 2011, we decided that many schools wanted to address all three issues. So that brings us to the Second Step Suite, the social emotional learning, bullying prevention, and child protection as one cohesive and consistent effort that you could offer to your teachers and your schools to make sure that they're addressing all three components. All right, so now that you know a little bit about Committee for Children and how the program and the add-on units came to be, I'll go into each of the components a bit more detail, starting with SEL as the foundation. Now this webinar is really intended to be kind of a high-level overview, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm going to spend most of the time on our social emotional learning program. So again, I just want to remind you that we do have some additional webinars that dig deeper into the curriculum and the ways that it's taught. So if you're coming up with a lot of different questions about one particular program, you might want to consider joining us for another webinar as well. So to start with this question, why teach SEL? I'm going to assume that most of you who are here joining me today have an interest in SEL at least, and maybe even have spent time researching, maybe teaching social emotional learning to students already, maybe even you're already teaching the Second Step program, it could be. But for those of you who are familiar, so those of you that are already kind of in this world, I'm adding in a little bit of this information at the beginning so that you can use it in your work to be a champion for SEL. Maybe you're being tasked with bringing others on board. Maybe you're presenting to a committee or on a task force. So I just wanted to give you some resources so that you can share out to those folks. But for those that this question hasn't been asked for you, the next few slides are going to help you see that foundation of why we developed Second Step and some of the research that's here to support the work. So first, in order to illustrate to you what is social emotional learning and why is it important, I have a video I'd like to share. This video is actually available on our YouTube channel, along with a few others that are designed in this same way. This video is not about Second Step. It is just about social emotional learning and why it is important. And we have those other topics available on our YouTube channel. That way you can definitely share these out. You could use this video again if you're presenting to a committee and that sort of thing, but also to your staff or to your families at your school. If you're doing a curriculum night, you can always add in this video to help illustrate why you're doing this work or why you want to do this work.
There's a lot of talk these days about SEL, social emotional learning. But what exactly is it? Social emotional learning is the process of learning social and emotional skills, and it's just as important as learning reading or math. This learning process is most effective when it begins early and continues through high school. Social emotional skills are essential for success in school, work, and life. With SEL, students learn to manage their own emotions and behaviors, have empathy and show care and concern for others, solve problems effectively, make responsible decisions, and maintain healthy relationships. Students learn to recognize what's happening inside them and to be aware of their emotions, which helps them deal with strong emotions and impulsive behaviors. It helps them stop, take a breath, and think about a situation before acting. Students learn to identify others' emotions and perspectives, which helps them empathize and show compassion, no matter who they are or what their background is. It's not difficult to imagine how this is important in the classroom and in life. Students learn to solve problems in peaceful ways and communicate assertively about what they need or want. This helps them get along with other students and get the help they need from adults. When students learn to make responsible decisions about their lives and their future, things can turn out better. Research shows social emotional learning makes a difference. Students who participate in SEL do better academically, have improved attitudes and behaviors, and act in delinquent or disruptive ways less often. In the United States, students with strong social-emotional competence are twice as likely to earn a college degree and nearly 50% more likely to graduate from high school and have a full-time job by age 25. Just as important, students who are socially and emotionally competent have more friends. This means they're more likely to feel connected to school and do well, and less likely to be left out or bullied. Simply put, by participating in social emotional learning, students learn the skills to succeed in every facet of school and the rest of their lives.
Okay, so I hope that video helped explain the foundation of why SEL is important and how SEL can help students to be their best in school and in life. So now I want to share with you a few other resources that can help make the case for teaching SEL for those of you that are trying to get the buy-in from wherever you may be, or if you're just interested. The first resource I'd like to share with you is our partner in leading the way in social emotional learning, and that is the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. They are a nonprofit organization also that's dedicated to advancing the science of SEL, expanding effective practices, and improving policies at a state and federal level. They've also created the CASEL Guide, which is a collection of information that help schools and districts to choose the quality programs that fit their needs. We are very proud, of course, to be one of the programs that CASEL has included in their guide at the top level with the highest amount of rigor. So we're thankful to be endorsed by CASEL, and that many of the CASEL collaborating districts are using the Second Step program. So if you're familiar with the Collaborating Districts Initiative by CASEL, then you would know that Second Step, or you might want to know that Second Step is being taught in many of those districts. So one thing that CASEL has done that has really helped the field in general really is to help put some guidance and definition around what is social emotional competence, and to help really create a framework for programs like Second Step to map their work. And we can see in the inner circle, the colorful pie pieces are those 5 skills that they have decided are the competence for, that we've decided really as a field that are the competencies for social emotional learning. So self-awareness, responsible decision making, relationship skills, social awareness, and self-management. And you can see, what you underneath all of those, this is an example from our K through 5 alignment, is that those bulleted points are the ways in which the Second Step program addresses each of those 5 competencies. So if you think about it, these 5 competencies are, we use these skills every day. We use them, many, many times throughout the course of our day. And when you think about the people in your life that struggle, maybe they're having trouble keeping a job or getting a job or forming their positive relationships with their friends, their families, maybe those who struggle in almost anything, it is most likely because they struggle in one or more of these areas and not because they're struggling in a technical skill. So just kind of think about that. And if you'd like to see the in-detailed alignment of Second Step to the 5 competencies, this is just at a glance, but we do have an alignment document that you can find on our website, both for K-5 and for middle school. So that's just a little plug there. You can download those documents if those are interesting to you. So another important thing that CASEL has done is to help to pull together research that might be important for the field. If you go on their website, which is casel.org, along with our website as well, have pulled together some great research that has really made the case to link social emotional learning to higher student success, to academic achievement. So the results you see here on this slide are from a study. It was actually in a meta-analysis, which is a study of studies with a huge sample size of 270,000 students. It was over 213 studies that looked at schools who implemented a school-based universal SEL intervention, like in Second Step and including Second Step. So, the things that you see in this large sample, looking at those results, hopefully you'd see some of those things if you're implementing a Second Step or an SEL program, and that you'd see gains in social emotional skills, gains in attitudes about self, others, and school, gains in pro-social behavior. But you also see an average of 11% increase on academic achievement. And academic achievement is measured in a variety of different ways for this study. But for those that were at the greatest risk, it was closer to 17%. So 11% average. I don't know a principal or a teacher or a parent out there that just wouldn't love to see gains like that in 1 year. But most importantly, I just like to imagine the change in the trajectory for a child that would experience that gain. You never know. A child could be on the verge of not passing that grade level. So this kind of gain could push them over that threshold and into successfully moving on. Maybe they've got low self-esteem because they've been struggling in school and that doesn't feel good to do. So not only would a gain like this help them succeed now to help move forward in their path in school, but it would also change the path that child might have truly for the rest of their life as they go through school, into middle school, high school, and beyond. So we also see some results from the study that help students with reductions in problem behavior and emotional distress. So those things are obviously great for that student to feel less of those things, but it also allows teachers more time to focus on teaching in the classroom and more positive classroom environment for all students so that they can focus on teaching and less on crisis or problem solving. Kids can solve their own problems and they're able to manage their emotions, then we can focus on teaching and learning. And so, and for administrators and counselors, then your time can be spent more on proactive ways to support students rather than constantly putting out fires and helping students out of crisis. So the last thing I want to share before we move into the program really quickly is just looking at this kind of social emotional learning, the big idea of school-wide social emotional learning programming and teaching kids those skills on a school-wide level is a really critical building block to success, not just for those students, but for the school and the school community. So when you look at it as the foundation, you can see then that kids will have stronger social emotional skills, adults who will model positive social emotional skills and build more of their own. Those things together then make improved relationships. After you can have better relationships, then you have a better sense of safety and support and a more positive school climate on the whole, which then makes for a more positive community. Okay, so let's dive into what is the Second Step program. Just going to give you kind of that big picture view. Second Step is a universal classroom-based program. It is designed to promote social emotional competence and self-regulation, and also to specifically decrease problem behaviors while increasing student school success. So if we focus on promoting those SEL skills and self-regulation, then we can do that. We can decrease those problem behaviors and we can help kids do better in school. So by universal, what I mean is for all students. So not just those that are exhibiting obvious deficits in this area, but for all kids. We believe that all children can benefit from social emotional learning in their schools, being taught in a research and evidence-based way that would bring them concrete skills and changed attitudes. So we really believe in that universal classroom-based structure. So here's a look at the offerings that we have for Second Step Early Learning to grade 8 and kind of how that maps out. For early learning, which is pre-K, meant for typically developing 4-year-olds that are going into kindergarten the following year. The program is flexible, though, can be used with ages 3 to 5. It is really designed for pre-K kids. And what we offer for those little ones is social emotional learning program and our child protection unit. For elementary, K to 5, we have all three: social emotional learning, bullying prevention, and child protection. And for middle school, we have the social emotional learning program. Just a quick note though, in middle school, our social emotional learning program does cover and incorporate some lessons and some skills that directly address bullying and harassment. So it's kind of embedded in to the middle school program. Here's a look at the early learning to grade 5 classroom kits. You can see there are colorful posters, the lesson cards, there's puppets, teaching materials, binder, and song CDs, DVDs, and online resources. So if you've never seen our materials, they are engaging and fun. If you've seen our previous editions, a lot of those cards and boxes are still out there, and they are in black and white and VHS tapes. So clearly we are up to date and everything's in color, and we have all of the resources available in DVD, CD, or online for streaming. So I actually have a video that introduces the program and shows you more about how it works and the materials that are included. So let's look at that video now.
When you think about all the children in an elementary school, how do you picture their journey from kindergarten through 5th grade? What do they need to successfully navigate these critical years of physical, social, and emotional development? The Second Step Social Emotional Learning Program provides an evidence-based foundation for you to build a safe, supportive learning environment for all your students. It helps educators establish a common language that can strengthen relationships and boost school unity. And it equips students with social-emotional, problem-solving, and learning skills that set them up for success in school and in life. The program has received rave reviews from educators and students and is endorsed by numerous organizations for its quality and effectiveness. With every classroom kit, you receive colorful, kid-friendly materials unique to each grade, plus streaming lesson media, family engagement resources, reinforcement tools, and staff training. Each kit is filled with a school year's worth of lessons and activities organized into themed units. Weekly lessons are ready to be taught out of the box with little to no prep time required. Puppets, games, and songs make lessons fun and engaging for younger children, while video stories capture the imagination of older students. In addition to weekly lessons, daily practice activities and academic integration activities help reinforce the skills students are learning throughout the week. And take-home activities give families the opportunity to practice using these skills together. We also offer a principal toolkit and school-wide reinforcement tools to help you nurture a positive school culture around second step skills and concepts. If you want to build on the Second Step SEL program and add another layer of support for your students, we recommend 2 additional units: Bullying Prevention, which teaches staff and students how to recognize, report, and refuse bullying, and Child Protection, which provides multi-layered training, lessons, and resources to keep kids safe from abuse. And there's more. Mind Yeti is a playful way to introduce mindfulness, calm classrooms down, and help children get into the right frame of mind to learn. Everything we offer is designed to work together cohesively and deliver tangible results, including more successful learning and fewer problem behaviors. Our SEL program is one of the most widely used and recommended tools to foster the social-emotional skills students need for lifetime success. Start using the Second Step Social-Emotional Learning program in your classrooms and reward yourself with more time for inspired teaching and limitless learning.
Okay, so hopefully that video gave you a good sense of the program kind of in a nutshell. That video is available on our YouTube channel, so if you'd like to share that out to other folks, I think it's a great introduction and a great way to kind of set the stage if you are going to do a presentation or show others the kits, or if your staff are just getting on board and you want them to see what the program is and how it works. That's a great video for that. So here's a look at the program skills and topics. Again, we're not going to go into too much detail here because we just don't have the time in this webinar, but we've got our 4 main units: skills for learning, which is really those focusing attention, being able to follow directions, kind of how to learn and how to be successful in the classroom. Then we move into empathy, which is being able to identify and understand feelings. How do we have feelings, or how do we understand other people's feelings, and then how do we take action on empathy? How do we be kind to one another, and looking at things like friendship skills and joining in groups, things like that. So we also then move into emotion management. So once we can understand some feelings, then we can start to learn how to understand our own feelings and the triggers that lead to strong feelings, and then how to calm down. So some very specific strategies on breathing and counting, ways to help them calm down those strong emotions so that we can move into problem solving. Once you can access the thinking part of the brain, then you can solve problems. So we also do have our additional units, our bullying prevention and child protection. I'm going to just show you a few brief things about that before we end our time today. So moving on to middle school, I have an introductory video for middle school as well that's going to show you what's in the program, how it works, and what resources are available. Our middle school, in case you're wondering, has recently been updated. And so if you're used to seeing the middle school in a binder with posters and a DVD or a VHS maybe at one time, this program is fully digital and online. So it was launched in the fall of 2017 and has been widely used, and just really great feedback from educators so far that they really love it. So this video is going to give you a little tour of what's in the program and how it's used and what resources are available.
The easy to navigate and easy to teach Second Step Middle School program engages students with relevant, interactive lessons, helps students develop social, emotional skills, and gives teachers everything they need to build a culture of connectedness. The program is web-based. Everything's online, so there are no boxes or notebooks to keep track of. Educators simply go online, project the lessons, and facilitate them. The online portal has 4 sections: Teach, Extend, Professional Development, and with school-wide licenses, a Principal Toolkit. In the Teach section, Instructors can preview the material with minimal prep time, access lessons, and view progress. The intuitive interface makes it easy to navigate through the lessons together with students. Lessons cover a variety of topics that address the issues faced by today's middle schoolers. Many lessons feature game-like challenges to engage students. Videos introduce social-emotional concepts in developmentally appropriate ways that lead to dynamic discussions. Real voices let students see and hear people their own age speaking out for themselves and coping with problems in different ways. All lessons include collaborative activities and discussion prompts to get students practicing their social-emotional skills right away. There are also summative assessments for each unit to help teachers evaluate whether the lesson objectives have been met. In the Extend section, advisory activities help you reinforce lesson concepts or build a complete advisory program around second step lessons. Choose from nearly 200 activities based on 14 program themes. Under SEL and Academics, you'll find academic lesson plans, SEL rubrics, academic and behavioral standards alignments, and other useful resources. Extend second step skills to the home through family letters, weekly updates, and the resource website parentingconnect.org, which offers real stories, expert advice, and practical tools to help families communicate, connect, and break through on hot-button topics. The Professional Development section includes a wealth of support materials to prepare educators for delivering the Second Step program. Program Training offers an overview of core concepts and the research base for the lessons, plus teaching tips for successful student learning. There is also a dedicated training module for building a Second Step advisory program. Professional Learning supports educators by helping them reinforce their own social-emotional skills and build a growth mindset, and by providing strategies for positive student-teacher relationships. Both Program Training and Professional Learning are designed with busy schedules in mind, with modular learning experiences that can be completed individually or in a group. We know that a principal's active support is crucial to the successful implementation of the Second Step program. Your school-wide license will unlock the Principal Toolkit, which is loaded with resources to promote, support, and monitor the success of the program throughout the school. With school-wide implementation that builds a culture of connectedness, you'll maximize the impact of the program on school climate and student outcomes. We hope you enjoyed this short tour of the Second Step Middle School program, and we can't wait for you to experience leading-edge social-emotional learning in your classrooms.
All right, so what we know about middle school is that it really is a time when academic expectations increase, friendships can become less stable, and it's a time when behavioral and health problems can emerge or worsen, and those would have really negative consequences that can last into the future. So it's a really incredible time of learning, exploration, and risk. So the idea with the new Second Step program is to, bring a modern and web-based tool that's responsive to the needs of today's students and teachers, with bringing along the latest research in adolescent brain development, social psychology, and it's been refined through multiple pilot programs in classrooms across the country. So we are very excited to have this out there and being used, and already super successful. So here is a look at the middle school program topics that are taught in the program. The social emotional learning, the 4 main units are mindsets and goals, values and friendships, thoughts, emotions, and decisions, and then serious peer conflicts. So really just trying to meet them where they're at, and taking the time to look at mindsets and looking at how can we build a growth mindset, how to help kids with their goals beyond just saying I'm going to set a goal, but how can we do that with some strategies, some real skills that they can practice. And then looking at values and friendships. Values, not teaching them what their values should be, but trying to help them figure out what their values are and what is it that they want to take forward with them in their lives. How will that affect their goals? How will that affect their decisions and their friendships? Then moving into thoughts, emotions, and decisions is really kind of a natural way to help us kind of go inward, think about our thoughts, think about our emotions and the ways that we make decisions, and how are we basing those decisions? What are we basing those decisions on? And then in serious peer conflicts, we cover, as I mentioned before, we do have bullying prevention and harassment topics embedded in, and that's where those show up. So we also have in the program, as you saw in the video, the advisory activities. Those are class challenges, service learning projects, and class meeting agendas that help really bring the teacher in as facilitator, helping the teacher to be a part of the program, a part of the classroom environment with their students. We also have the principal toolkit in there as well, family communications, on-demand tutorials. There's some SEL rubrics, academic resources, and gosh, so much more, as you saw in the video. So I want to give you a little bit of a look at how to teach the Second Step program successfully. That's always kind of the questions we get are, how do you actually do this? What does it really take? So starting with professional development, I want to let you know just straight off the bat that training materials are available online at secondstep.org and are included in the program. So no extra costs are included for the program. You get that with the program. For early learning, there is a staff training toolkit that allows you to train your own staff. It has some resources, PowerPoint, scripting, videos, handouts, things that will help you to train your staff to be effective in teaching the program. For K-5, there's an online interactive training that is about an hour that helps staff to become familiar with what's in the kits, why is this important to teach, what are some of the best ways to incorporate that into your classroom schedule and to teach that within your schedule and what it is you're doing. And then for middle school, there is the professional development section, as you saw in the video, that has training resources and professional learning modules. So both tools and resources to help you be trained to actually deliver the program, and then also some modules that will help boost and build teachers' own social emotional competence. We also have the child protection and bullying prevention online training for staff, and those are similar to the K-5 online interactive training, only just much more robust. These are tricky topics. They are challenging. Child protection, child abuse prevention, child sexual abuse prevention, and bullying prevention are definitely not topics that are, easy to teach per se or to understand. So these training modules that we have, and I'll show you those in a little bit more detail here in a moment, can help for staff to feel more comfortable and to be ready to teach the lessons and take in bullying reports or child abuse disclosures. So we also offer ongoing consultation via phone and web-based meetings. So whenever it is that you have questions or you would like some additional guidance, we definitely are here for you and happy to do that for no extra charge, and just to make sure that you get what you need to teach the program and for your staff and your administrators to feel comfortable leading the charge. So implementation and the word fidelity are often put together. In our case, this 4 core or these 4 components are really important in thinking about how do we make sure kids are getting the program and getting delivered in a high quality way so that they're actually engaging and building those skills. Just like anything else, when you're teaching math or reading or anything else, teaching all the lessons is a good place to start to make sure that students are getting all of the program in the order as designed. The skills do build on each other, so giving them a chance to practice daily, to build those skills, just like anything else. As I said, if you're going to teach a concept in math, then you need to give them a chance to practice that skill once they learn it. And the same is true for social emotional learning. We also want to give them a chance to reinforce those skills. So outside of lesson time, these are not supposed to be second step skills necessarily. They are social skills, and school is a social place, and it's a place to give them lots of chances to reinforce and transfer that learning so that it isn't just while they're having lessons on social emotional learning. It's not just SEL time, but it's just these are skills you need for life and to use throughout your life, wherever you may be. And then finally, just bringing in the families. Whenever you can include families and engage the families with what it is that you're teaching, the better it is, no matter what it is. With social emotional learning, things like being able to solve problems and calm down strong emotions, if you can get families to be practicing those things while their children are at home, then hopefully the goal would be then they would use those skills outside of school and in the community, wherever they may be, whether it's at home or church or Boy Scout camp or whatever else they're engaged in. So teaching the lessons in the early learning to grade 5, the lessons themselves are fully scripted, explicit instructions. They are including the lesson planning notes, so teachers can just pick it up, read through the lesson planning, that gray column on the left-hand side you see there. They just read through it once or twice, get a sense of what the lesson is about, read through the language, look at the keywords a few times, and then they'd be ready to go. So one of the best things about Second Step is that teachers can pick up the lesson, teach it in an engaging way, give the kids a chance to practice, and that's all there is to it. It's a very simple, very easy, very reliable way, honestly, to teach social emotional learning, and then to give them a chance to have a skill practice, and then the ultimate goal, which would be to bring social emotional learning integrated into everything else that you're doing. So we give some ideas and ways that teachers can do that in the classroom. So teaching the grades 6 through 8 lessons is a little bit different than K-5, and certainly in the sense that the program is all online and digital, that the teachers would move through the teaching portal, through the lessons. They would do a warm-up, a video, some type of activity and discussion. Really what we found in the research in middle school is that student agency is really important, and having those students really being able to kind of think for themselves and to see their teachers as facilitators, as someone who is a partner in their learning and a partner in their classroom, to build that relationship over time. Those relationship building skills and the culture and climate that you're building in the classrooms is far and away more important than anything else that you're doing to prevent bullying, for example. Having adults that care about them and having strong relationships with their peers is going to be a hugely important part of middle school, developing those skills that will take them through high school and beyond. So these lessons are full of up-to-date and engaging media, videos, and other interactive kinds of games and things. So it's the lessons themselves are 25 minutes, and it's easy enough for a teacher to just kind of follow through using the portal and being a part of the lesson along with them. So the big question always is, how much time does it take? And I mentioned the middle school, but here's a look at all of the programs. So for early learning, there are 28 weekly themes, lessons, and those are actually split out into 5 to 7 minutes every day. Just some short little lessons. Preschoolers have short attention span and they need lots of repetition. So this was the appropriate way to teach those skills, and it's also, not coincidentally, easy to fold that into a circle time or a morning meeting or something that you might be doing already. With kindergarten, there are 25 lessons, and those are between 20 and 25 minutes once per week. So the lessons are designed to be taught once a week from K through 8. So it's really just early learning that does those short daily lessons. So there are 25 lessons in kindergarten, and then there are 22 in grade 1 through 5, and the time does jump up a little bit, 35 to 40 minutes, depending on the grade level, depending on the topic, depending on the teacher in that classroom, how much time is available. There are some factors. This is obviously a guideline, so depending on what time your teachers actually have to teach, the goal would be that there would be 30 minutes or so in the schedule dedicated to social emotional learning time. That would be the ideal. But there are some other ways that you can do that. We just want it to be consistent as much as possible, once a week, with some following up activities, and I'll show you that in just a minute. For grades 6 through 8, there are 26 lessons, and those are 25 minutes. Those are designed specifically to fit into an advisory program if you're doing an advisory period, which is why the program developers made it 25 minutes. So it could fit into that kind of structure really easily. And then we also have those nearly 200 advisory activities that you can fit in those too. And those are many of those, all based on different topics. And those can be, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. So depending on if you want to do the lesson and a few of the advisory activities every week, then the advisory activities are not very long. They're not as long as the lessons. Additionally, for K-5, the bullying prevention unit has 5 more lessons. So just 5 lessons that help to hone in on those bullying prevention skills. And then for early learning to grade 5, there are 6 lessons in the child protection unit. So if you were to do all of 3 of them, the K-5 program with the bullying prevention unit and the child protection unit, you would have enough lessons to cover the whole school year, given the breaks and testing and all that's in there. So I can keep mentioning reinforcing skills and making sure that kids are getting a chance to practice these skills outside of lesson time. I guess it's my way of trying to, make sure that you know how important that is. And to that end, we have created following through activities that could happen on the additional days. So day 1 would teach the lesson, and then 2 through 5, we've provided in the program a few, an activity for each of those days that are 5 to 7 minutes, maybe 10 minutes long. So, it might be playing the song again, it might be playing a game again, it might be doing a skill practice or a reflective writing. There's a variety of things. So teachers don't have to make that up on their own. It's already provided, but it's also a jumping off point if they want to do something different to hone in those skills. We also have take-home activities, and that's what you see here in the slide, in the screenshot. They're called home links. So they're really not as much homework as they are an actual activity that students would do with their families. So they're a little activity that helps families to understand what it is that you're teaching and for them to get a chance to practice those same skills and use the same language. So we've also got some reflective writing assessments. There's a book list for students and for teachers and families. And then there's those curriculum connections I was talking about where you can integrate your SEL topics into the other curriculum that you are teaching. In middle school, I mentioned we have the nearly 200 advisory activities that help reinforce the skills. There's also some principal resources and a parenting component, a parent engagement component that's called parentingconnect.org. And I hope you'll share that out actually, because it's a free website meant for families, for parents who have teenagers to really look at those hot button topics that every parent of every teenager out there is probably struggling with, to help them with parent perspective, student perspective, and parenting experts' advice. So I hope you'll check that out, parentingconnect.org. That also will boost some of those second step skills, or the social emotional learning skills, I should say, to reinforce that outside of lesson time. So I'm just going to quickly go through the bullying prevention unit and the child protection units so you get a sense of just how the units work and what's included with those. So the units are additional to the second step SEL program. As I mentioned, they have either 5 or 6 additional lessons. And most importantly with these 2 topics, our program developers would say, and we would agree, that the online training modules are going to be just as important, if not more important, than the student lessons. And the reason they would say that is that once we teach kids how to make a report in bullying or in child abuse disclosure, we need to be ready to take that report or that disclosure and know what to do with it, first of all, but also how to handle going forward with that child, to respond to them in an appropriate way, and then to continue to support them throughout the school year. So you'd start with the online training modules. There's the classroom notebooks. You'd register to get the online resources, and then teaching the lessons to the students would come after that. So starting with the bullying prevention unit, you can see here there's an additional notebook with some DVDs. There's video content that's also online and streaming. Again, as I mentioned before, you don't need to have the DVD, but you do get it in the kit anyway. And we focus on the things that you see there, the recognize, report, refuse, and that's those skills we teach the students so that they can learn some very specific things toward bullying. One thing I will mention is that the bullying prevention unit is designed to be taught with the Second Step SEL program. It's not designed to be taught on its own. There are only 5 lessons, and they're very, very specific to bullying prevention strategies and language that does not include the foundational skills that you would get in the SEL program. Things like friendship skills, assertiveness, empathy, emotion management. A lot of those things that you get in the Second Step SEL program are critical and foundational to actually being able to practice these skills of recognize, report, and refuse. So just a word to the wise there, that if you're looking at bringing in a bullying prevention program, you would bring this in along with the Second Step SEL program. And if for whatever reason you didn't think you could bring them both in at the same time, I would recommend that you bring in the Second Step SEL program first, so that you can get those foundational skills and then hone in on the bullying prevention. So here's a look at that online training I mentioned. It's very robust. You can see there are 3 modules. They're all between 60 minutes and 90 minutes. And they're online and interactive, individual modules that you can take on your own or as a group, depending on how you want to do it. The first module is for administrators, so not everyone would take this module. It'd be just for principals and administrators, people that are leading the efforts on bullying prevention. And then module 2 is for all staff to learn how to recognize, respond, and report. So knowing what bullying is and what it isn't, and then how to respond, and then how to report appropriately. That is available for all staff, meaning every person in your building who is interacting with kids. And then the last unit, or the last module, is how to teach the lessons and engage families. So becoming familiar with the content, the format, and the way that you would teach the program, but also the topic and how to talk to families about it, how to talk to your students about it, becoming familiar with the bullying prevention strategies that you can share with families as well. The student lessons in the bullying prevention program, again, focus, as I mentioned, on the 3 R's, the recognize, report, and refuse. And then in the older grades, it also addresses bystander power, of just helping be a bystander who can help the situation rather than hurt it, certainly, and to be a support to your friends. So you can see kind of a look there at the lessons themselves. The lessons are video-based, and again, those videos can be found online, so you can stream those versus the DVD player. All right, so the Early Learning to Grade 5 Child Protection Unit works very similarly to the Bullying Prevention Unit. You can see here it comes with the notebooks, and it has the DVD, CDs, as well as colorful posters. And the Child Protection Unit starts out with general safety, really trying to help understand that child abuse and child sexual abuse really come through in the vein of safety versus sexuality. So keep that in mind as we're talking about the Child Protection Unit, starting with general safety like wearing your seatbelt or a helmet while you ride a bike, things like that, helping kids to see that keeping themselves safe and recognizing when things are unsafe is really, really important part of their childhood, and we're going to give them skills based on how old they are and at grade level appropriate increments, of course, as well. Again, the training is a very important piece of this if we're going to try and help kids to understand and recognize when abuse might be happening and then have the courage to share that with an adult. Then that adult needs to be ready to take that report. The training is very robust, though. It is far and away more than a mandated reporter training that at least any of the ones I've been through over the years. Since I'm a former teacher, I've been through many. And so really this is that role-based modules like we had in the Bullying Prevention Unit. You would have the first module being for leadership, the policies and procedures, looking at the ways that you're addressing child abuse prevention in your school or your district. Module 2 is for all staff to recognize the signs of abuse and behavior and the ways that behavior of students can be a clue to what might be going on in their lives, really looking at it from a trauma-informed perspective. And then also how to respond and how to report appropriately. And then the last module is the teaching module, and that's to help make sure that those who are going to teach those lessons understand how to teach that effectively and then how to engage families. Module 3 also helps teachers to feel comfortable with the topic. It's not an easy one for anyone. So helping them to know that, this is all really important work they're doing and ways to kind of help make sure that they keep their focus and that they're not uncomfortable teaching. So the Child Protection Unit lessons are also scripted and formatted in the same way that the Second Step SEL lessons are, as well as the bullying prevention. It's all the similar way that we have put the program together to make it really consistent, using the same common language, using those same strategies, and again, just focusing on the ways that they can stay safe and to recognize what's safe, to report to an adult, and to refuse. The last thing I want to share about the Child Protection Unit is actually a resource that you could use right now, that you could send out to your families to help them to understand about child abuse and child abuse prevention, child sexual abuse, and the ways that they as families are able to really help their children to recognize when something isn't right and to then be able to tell them about it. Now, I'm a parent too, so these kinds of conversations are not easy for sure, even for someone like me who is in this field and understands a lot about it. So imagining that parents that are not as aware, how that might feel for them. So we created this website called earlyopenoften.org to encourage people to have the conversation early, to be open about it, and to have those conversations as often as possible. So earlyopenoften.org is available now, and it's a collection of short videos that will help families to have those conversations, to help them to know how to start talking, to being ready to respond if they do hear something from their child, to get the facts about what it is they're talking about. So I really hope you'll push that out there whenever you get a chance to go take a look at it and spread that far and wide. We do also have this website available in a Spanish version as well, so if that's important to your community, please share that out. We would appreciate it. So as we end up our time together today, I just want to give you a sense of what's available on secondstep.org. Secondstep.org is really a resource center for our program users. And on it are things that you see here, including the streaming media, which I've mentioned a few times. Just being able to play those videos or project up the photos, play the songs, all of that is available from the website, so you don't need to worry about those discs. As we have on our website, it says ditch the discs, so you don't need to worry about them if you don't want to use them. There are also some video examples and classroom demonstrations. There are Spanish translations, so all of the program components from early learning to grade 5 are translated into Spanish, including the family-facing materials and resources. And then for middle school, we have all of the family communications are also translated into Spanish as well. And those are ready to just copy and paste into whatever communication system you have. But early learning grade 5, if you'd like to teach the lessons in Spanish, the translation is there. So you don't need to purchase additional English kits. You can utilize the Spanish translations for free. We also have the staff training resources. I already went through those teaching and implementation tools, so you can start planning the implementation, also some monitoring and sustainability tools as well. And then lastly, the family resources and tools to engage families. We also have a few reinforcement tools. For K through 5, we have our principal toolkit. That's a separate notebook that has things like morning announcements, school assembly scripts, some staff meeting activities and resources for training, the conversation guide to help with office discipline referrals and other conversations, digital tools, and a lot more. And then very lastly, I do want to mention our Mind Yeti program. It is our classroom mindfulness tool. It's really for K-5 students and their adults. That's the way we look at it, that it's for classrooms, for teachers, but also for parents, for caregivers, really anyone who is working with K through 5 students. It is even used in pre-K classrooms sometimes. It is really just short 5 to 6 minute sessions that are guided sessions to help kids calm down, to focus their attention, and to get ready for what's coming next. A whole host of great topics. It is free to sign up at mindyeti.com, and there are a few different levels of subscription. So if you want to individual subscription. You can get the free 15 free sessions. You can also upgrade to a premium subscription. And then there's also a subscription for schools that you can do so that all your teachers could have a mindfulness tool right at their fingertips. They just log in and choose from over 100 sessions on a variety of different topics. So to end up our time together today, I want to share with you one last video, and that is a video that really highlights empowering educators.
The idea that I can improve kids' lives with respect to social and emotional learning makes me feel valuable. I love literature, but I didn't get into teaching because I love books. I got into teaching because I love kids.
We're impacting the world as a teacher, and I think that's great responsibility, and it's great to see the impact that we do have on these students.
We are seeing an increase in academics and academic success, as well as a decrease in negative behaviors. It's given us an opportunity to have those conversations with teachers about when would you send a behavior to the office versus what you can handle in your classroom. And it's empowered them to be able to handle things within their own classroom setting without disrupting that academic environment.
It gives them confidence that they have a set of tools and capacities to approach kids who struggle.
With the kids having better behavior, you're not stopping your lessons every 5 seconds and getting them back on track. You can get a whole lesson in. You can then get to the fun stuff, the experiments or the hands-on in every lesson.
The kids are embracing the songs. Kindergarten teachers are saying the kids love the belly song, and so there's just fun things like that that make it fun to learn.
Just forming these relationships that you know in some way you're changing these students' lives and you're really making a difference.
Establishing that relationship is so crucial because a lot of the time these kids, as they get a little older, they push the boundaries. They don't look at the teacher as that person that they'll listen to everything about.
I carry my feelings on my shoulders sometimes, so if I ever get mad, I stop and breathe, and it helps me calm myself down.
I feel really proud if I see them use these skills outside or they tell me, oh, I use this at home today, That shows me that they're gonna be a good citizen as they grow up.
We need to think about what kind of world we want to build and what kind of future we want for the students across the country so that we build toward a world that we all want to be a part of.
None of it would work if it weren't for the teachers. Because of their work and dedication and their belief in the systems that we're building, that's why our school is the school that it is today.
Okay, so I want to say thank you so much for joining me today for this presentation. I hope that video was helpful and I hope the session was helpful, but I know it's a lot of information. So if you do have questions, I want you to please get in touch with us anytime. We are here to help. Our staff of our client relations professionals are really here to support the implementation and the planning efforts and to support the staff who teach the second step lessons. So while we certainly can help with placing orders and finding things on the website, our staff are also very highly trained people who care a great deal about helping make sure that the students are getting what they need and the staff feel supported in doing that. So I just invite you to please call us, visit our website, email, whatever way works best for you, and we'll make sure you're connected to the person or the resources that are going to best help you. I want to invite you once again to join us for another webinar in the future and say thank you so much for the work you do. There is absolutely no way that we could reach our vision of safe children thriving in a peaceful world without you. And we know that you work very, very hard to do that. So thanks again. And I hope we'll see you online for our webinar again in the future. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody.